Well, hello and welcome to our video. My name is John Watts. I'm a consumer protection attorney in the state of Alabama. And I want to answer a question that we get probably 2 or 3 or 4 times a week. And that is, what does a garnishment mean after a judgment in Alabama? And to answer that question, I want to break it down into some subparts. So let's start off with, how did we get to the garnishment stage? Well, to get to the garnishment stage, the creditor or the debt collector, somebody has sued you and they served you, or at least the court thinks that you were properly served. We'll talk about that a little bit later. And then either you did not answer in time and there was a default judgment, or maybe you did respond, but then you lost at summary judgment or at trial in the case. So the bottom line is there is a judgment against you. And once there's a judgment against you, then that collection lawyer has some pretty powerful options, including garnishment. So the first type of garnishment we want to talk about is a wage garnishment. So what is that? Well, that's where the collection lawyer sends a notice to your employer, and it basically says withhold 25% of your wages. And then that money will be paid into court, and then the court will send that money to the collection lawyer. Now, there are some arguments about trying to limit this, and it's not exactly 25% of your paycheck, but that's just a good rule of thumb. That's what it's about going to be. And so for most people who have a judgment, this is what they're facing: losing 25% of your paycheck. That's a quarter of your paycheck. Most people cannot survive, or at least cannot survive very well, losing 25% of your paycheck. So it's very devastating. Well, there's another type of garnishment, and a collection lawyer can use both of these. It's called a bank garnishment. So instead of garnishing your paycheck, this means they find a bank account that you have and they garnish it, or they take the money. Now, it's not 25%. It's everything in there. Now, if we have certain exempt funds, such as Social Security, then those normally will be protected. But again, very devastating to have everything in your checking account just wiped out. So, what can you do to attack the judgment? Because see, if you can make the judgment go away, then there's no garnishment. The garnishment only exists because there's a judgment. Well, one way would be if you were not properly served. And we have other videos that talk about the details of being properly served. But if you were not properly served, then you can attack that judgment, because there's a constitutional requirement that you must be properly served so that you have an opportunity to defend yourself. If you are not given that opportunity to defend yourself, then you can attack that judgment, make the judgment go away. Now, it doesn't make the lawsuit go away. It makes the judgment go away. If the judgment goes away, there's no garnishment. But what if you look at it either on your own, or you get in contact with us and we say, you know what, it looks like you were properly served. Well, there's a chance, if it just happened, that you could ask the judge to set aside that default judgment. You basically have about 14 days in small claims or district court from the day of the judgment, or 30 days in circuit court. Now, that's a pretty tight time frame. And so it doesn't apply to many people, but occasionally it does. Now let me go back to when you were not served. There really is no time limit on that. We've had people that found out that they started getting garnished, and it turns out there's a judgment from like 15 years ago. We can still attack that. Now, once you find out there's a judgment, you need to take action pretty quickly. But these are the 2 ways to attack the judgment. If you were served and you got a default judgment, you got to move pretty quick to ask the judge to give you another chance. And there are some special rules on that. But if you were not served, that gives you the most options for attacking it. But what if you realize, you know what, I was served and I'm stuck with this judgment. There's just nothing I can do to make the judgment go away. How do I deal with this garnishment? Well, I'll give you a couple options. And none of these are better than the others. You just have to figure out what's best for you. So one option would be file bankruptcy. So you might file Chapter 7 bankruptcy, or what's called straight bankruptcy, and maybe that would wipe out the judgment. Again, if the judgment goes away, or at least your obligation for it, then there is no garnishment. You might file a Chapter 13 bankruptcy where you make payments into court for 3 or 5 years. Well, again, that should stop the garnishment, and then that'll just be calculated into your payment. Well, you could do nothing and just let them take enough money through the wage garnishment or the bank garnishment so it pays off the judgment. That's one way to do it. And do remember this, on these judgments, they make interest also. So sometimes you pay off the judgment, but there's still interest to be paid. Well, another option is you go and you work out with the collection lawyer a monthly payment plan, and presumably this would be less than what the garnishment would be. Otherwise, you just let them garnish your wages. Well, the final option would be to do a lump sum settlement, and this for most people can be a great option if you have a lump sum. You can save a whole lot of money doing it this way. And so you take that lump sum all at once, and then the judgment's satisfied. No more garnishment. So how do you figure out what's the best option for you? Well, if you have any questions and your judgment's in Alabama and you live here, maybe you live in another state, but the judgment's in Alabama, give us a call. 205-879-2447, or you can reach us through our website, alabamaconsumer.com, and we'll go over your options. Sometimes we see people, we go, you know what, we need to get you to a bankruptcy lawyer. Sometimes we say it's best just to let them garnish. It's pretty rare on either one of those first two, but it's happened over the years. But then more commonly, we're saying, let's work out a settlement with the collection lawyer, either a monthly payment or a lump sum, and then we explain to you, here's how you do it on your own, and here's how you do it if you want to hire us. And here's the cost, the advantages, disadvantages, and then you can make a decision. So if you have specific questions, give us a call. Now, if you just have a comment, feel free to leave that here on the underneath the YouTube video. But if we can help you in any way, just reach out to us, 205-879-2447 or alabamaconsumer.com. Thanks for watching this video, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.